Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Historical Humans podcast. And today we are truly going to be trying something just a little bit different. Today, our podcast episode is based on the topic of cryptids. Except, unlike our normal podcast format, we're going to be trying a different method of explaining this. So each one of us has two cryptids that we are going to be talking about. However, we have them listed in a list, and we're going to be rolling a d6 die to try and pick who gets to explain theirs first, because we also run a D&D campaign Monday nights at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time at the Isle of Gaming Twitch channel and the YouTube channel as well. We upload them on Fridays.
Yeah, they come live on at noon on Fridays after we, record them and all that stuff. So it's just a fun little thing. And before we jump in and roll the dice, Justin, real quick, I'd like to explain to those of you watching what exactly a cryptid is. So, cryptids.
Me after having too many drinks.
Yeah.
He
Nah.
disappeared into the bushes. We never.
I quite literally. I did once.
All right, go ahead, Colum.
All right. So cryptids are animals that some people believe exist, but that there is no scientific proof for.
Allegedly.
No, very much. Cryptozoology is a pseudoscience that marks a bit of a departure from what we usually cover here, which is largely historical facts. We're doing something that is very much real and alive in the modern world, and that is this with
the tie-in, though, is there is some historical context with the cryptids, and we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into it more and more, but like
it is at the point where these cryptids are almost cultural icons, at least for a few of them.
Oh, for sure.
Many of them are cultural icons, or at the very least deeply ingrained in the local culture of the places they come from. However, there is no proof they exist. They are largely mythical beings, and so this is going to be, again, we don't really talk about mythology that much here either. So should be.
We should change that.
New time round. We're doing the Tibetan Book of the Dead later this year.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
This is the
foreshadowing promotion.
Yeah, so that means you gotta stick around, guys.
Gotta figure out when it's gonna drop. You don't know. We don't.
No.
Well, we do know.
Yeah. We do know, but we're not telling you. Justin, roll the dice.
All right. So no, before we roll the die, let's go through the list. So the first person who is on the list, I personally have Bigfoot and the Hodag. Aaron has the Loch Ness Monster and Thunderbirds. Colum has the Chupacabra and Mothman. Couple of great cultural icons, and we're gonna roll. So the first roll for today is gonna be a 5. That is the Chupacabra.
Oh, we're starting off strong. So to bring this here, the Chupacabra is typically associated throughout almost all of Latin America and the Southwest United States. However, that's not where the Chupacabra comes from. See, the Chupacabra, as much as we hear about it most often in media being right on the border of the U.S. and Mexico, it actually began in Puerto Rico.
Ooh.
That's new to me.
Yep. The first ever recorded instance of a Chupacabra was by Puerto Rican farmers who were blaming it for the death of their livestock. These carcasses were supposedly uneaten but drained of blood, marking the Chupacabra as a vampire-like creature, which is always very fun, getting a bloodsucker into the mix. These creatures were described originally as upright reptilian kangaroos with large red eyes.
Oh man, that's terrifying.
Yes. However,
just imagining one on its hind legs hopping around.
It was just
and then just fucking punching a goat and then sucking its blood.
It was just an angry Australian immigrant, a veteran of the Emu War who had gone insane.
Oh no, it was a vampire kangaroo.
Oh God, what's worse than a
So,
vampire kangaroo? An Australian.
so um, because of this weird description, which does not actually last, the modern chupacabra does not resemble its original form at all. Because this description was very closely tied to a 1995 horror film called Species that featured a monster that is at least vaguely similar in appearance. And it was originally written off that people were, it's dark. They're using, their imagination from the horror movie plus, whatever they actually saw to make these monsters. Also, no one wants to admit that their livestock just up and died for no reason.
I swear I was taking really good care of them. I don't know what happened.
No,
I mean, to be fair, livestock in a lot of places is like the lifeblood, and if you as a shepherd who most likely doesn't actually own the herd, actually just takes care of it for the owner, lose a few, yeah, that's a little bad. You might lose your job.
Yeah, it's so this is a very convenient excuse. However, almost immediately after this reporting, like with many cryptids actually, it spreads, and suddenly instead of it goes from being no reportings in 1994 to just hundreds in 1996, as people everywhere from the United States to Mexico to freaking Colombia start seeing the chupacabra. Except, yeah.
It's like everybody just suddenly is like, oh my God, it all makes sense now.
That's what I saw?
Except
Right.
these people did not see an upright reptilian kangaroo with glowing red eyes. The chupacabras that are found elsewhere are canine in appearance, but hairless and possess a long, sort of spiny ridge on their back, of sort of like if you gave a porcupine a mohawk.
Just sounds like an angry chihuahua almost.
Sounds pretty metal though.
Yeah, but again, about the size. Again, this thing is supposed to be about the size of your average husky.
Okay.
So this is supposed to be fairly big, and over the years, people have shot and killed a number of alleged chupacabras.
Yes, I do remember one.
No.
And every instance, so far, it has been identified as someone's dog, a coyote, a fox, or some sort of like canine hybrid. Usually one suffering from mange, so its fur is falling out.
I remember specifically, if anybody remembers the show Monster Quest, that show was my personality for about 3 years as a child, and they quite literally showed some woman in like Texas who they shot the animal and stuffed it.
Oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
There are. Yeah, it's
someone's poor dog just.
It definitely looked like a dog with mange.
Yeah. That's what most chupacabra specimens actually turn out to be, is some form of canine with mange. However, there are some much more interesting theories, including my personal favorite, which is that the chupacabras are the escaped pets of alien visitors to our world. You know how, like, in Florida, you flush the crocodile into the sewers because it started getting a little big?
I thought it was snakes.
Snakes, gators. I mean, that's why there's the sewer gators in New York. All those.
No, but that's true. There's not necessarily flush, but there's a lot of like abandoned pets that end up becoming issues.
I thought it was turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
No, they were ate by Billy the Gator.
So yeah. So apparently these unknown, unseen, never sighted aliens are doing that too. I guess for some sort of nature preserve.
I mean, it makes sense. We're in a self-contained unit so far. All the spacecraft we've done has basically been us just throwing stuff outside of the tank.
I guess I better call XCOM.
We're in a
Commander.
terrarium.
If
Yeah.
anybody gets that reference, drop a like and subscribe.
Yes,
Hey.
Chupa. So yes, a few more things with the chupacabras. So their name is Spanish for bloodsucker on account of their, propensity for sucking the life out of and blood out of livestock. But did you know they're also one of the more monetized cryptids out there? They are featured. They're very commonly featured in a colorful carved figurine called Alabrie, which are usually made in Mexico, and they're depictions of the chupacabra in traditional Mexican art styles and colors. There's also chupacabra action figures that apparently were sold in the 90s.
What?
I want one.
What?
I want a chupacabra action figure.
I am looking at one. I
Hold on, I want to Google it
I do
too,
not
actually.
want to be looking at one. But yeah, they are. There is yeah,
Oh my god!
gosh. Aaron has Google. Aaron has Google.
Yeah, of course I have Google.
There we go.
It came free with the computer.
I didn't think you would use it.
I could get one at Walmart.com.
Yeah, they make Funko. Oh my god, the Funko.
Yeah,
Pops.
you saw the Funko Pop ones.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know if this came up in your search column, but they're apparently they're supposed to release an animated film, or like at least like have like a live action, but the Chupacabra's animated. And they titled it Chupa, which apparently is a euphemism for like blowjob.
Yeah. Well, that's part of what makes the version I'm looking at so terrifying, because I put it in the Discord for the two of you to look at. But basically, in two separate fonts on two separate lines, it says Chupa and then Cabras. And it looks so horrifying. Yes, please cry. I will not be showing you this product, those of you watching this show, because I value your sanity.
Actually, if you guys would like to see, click in the show notes and join our Discord. We will share the people who join our Discord. Kind of some behind the scenes action. You can. I think you might need to.
I think you might need to label that as not safe for work.
It's horrible in many ways. It's horrible.
Jesus Christ.
I don't. Behold. He looks like he looks like someone just repainted a really bad luchador too. It hurts.
Oh my god! Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Welcome to the repurposing of the toy market, ladies and gentlemen. Thought you weren't going to learn about that today, did ya?
Really, I'm actually more surprised. This is one of the more like action figure. Like it makes sense with something like Bigfoot.
Hey,
but the Chupacabra.
Yep. I have no problem sharing the more traditional looking images with you. These are the I am going to struggle with native words again apparently. Alabrie. Let you two look at those. See the difference?
Vastly different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that is.
I think why does it remind me of like the what is it, the water lizards from Australia? Where it has like the flaps that come out.
Are you thinking of the Dilophosaurus from Jurassic Park? No, these didn't escape Isla Sorna.
Oh no! I mean, like that's what those are based off of from Jurassic Park.
That's really creepy.
Like that, I think it's the water running lizard. Like it shows like the frill.
Yeah, the frilled lizard. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I think you just have Australia on the mind because we started off with the description of giant reptilian kangaroo.
I should also, Australia also just apparently discovered a new trapdoor spider species.
Oh
yeah, I saw that too.
Scary.
That is not.
Just burn all of Australia to the ground. Let's start over.
Okay, just for like real quick, just because we're talking. just because we're on the tangent Australia and we're on cryptids, apparently there's just supposed to be a dinosaur roaming the outback in Australia.
Yeah, it's called the Outback Steakhouse.
Oh no! He fries up a
Yeah,
mean steak though.
yeah.
That's for
Apparently
sure.
that's just a thing that's roaming out of the outback.
Yep. Yep.
Alrighty.
Yeah, the last image I gave you guys is a modern chupacabra.
Is it the dog?
Yeah, it's
The
the
dog
dog
with mange.
It's the mange dog with spines growing out of its back.
Yeah, see, that's more of what I've known.
Yeah. This is yeah. These are much more like the original model, and then this is the four-legged canine version is what is known and loved today. I think actually there was a TV show called The Imperfects a few years back that featured one of the protagonists was a chupacabra. It was treated as a werewolf type transformation, which probably explains why Britannica keeps putting werewolf as the next recommended article every time I look at this thing.
Oh man, I fucking love werewolf stories. Like they're all so old. Like one of them, I read a text that came out of like I think the 11th century Ireland.
Yeah,
Alrighty. So, any final thoughts, or should we roll again?
I think that is the chupacabra. That's everything I got for you. He's pretty fun. I knew it would be very reactive.
Let's see where we go after this, eh?
Yeah.
2. Oh no, that's me. We're gonna talk about Wisconsin's own hodag.
Hodag.
Yes, the hodag. It is a beautiful, beautiful creature that's got horns, spikes all down its backs, large piercing fangs. The hodag is reportedly a fearsome critter that resembles a large bullhorn carnivore with a row of thick curved spines down its back. And yeah, it's got quite the prominent tail. It started out in 1893 when newspapers started reporting the discovery of a hodag in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, which I don't know if you guys have ever been up near Rhinelander, Wisconsin. It is pretty far north, but it is very much, you feel very isolated because you are like 30 to 40 minutes away from the next smallest town, and like it's just very thick, dense forests. It's very it feels like very unmolested nature. It's very beautiful, but you feel like you're in the wilderness. So to say that they found something like that, not surprising. But the news article claimed that the hodag had the head of a frog, the grinning face of a giant elephant, thick, short legs set off by huge claws, the back of a dinosaur with a long tail with spears at the end. And these reports were instigated by a well-known Wisconsin land surveyor, timber cruiser, and prankster Eugene Shepard. And
why is it these all of the like it's like what's with the spikes? What's with the spikes?
I'm just loving the little bit of lore in your hodag flyer here, Justin, such as that he picks up every Milwaukee Brewers broadcast without fail.
Yes, so the town where the hodag was spotted has a tribute statue to him, and also has an informational flyer that we can go into some of the things that the hodag is known for. So you mentioned the horns. The hodag's eyes are such a beautiful color that the late summer sunset stole its colors from the hodag's eyes. The spikes. The hodag's tail serves as a perfect marshmallow roasting stick. The hodag is a scratch golfer, and he never needs to buy golf balls either. He just collects the ones that are hidden to the woods.
Yep.
Oh, what else? Here's some things for you to ponder. The hodag was discovered in 1893, right? Do you know what else happened in 1893? Pabst won the Blue Ribbon that exact same year. I don't know if that's coincidence.
I don't even know what Pabst is. That's what I'm loving about this.
Pabst Blue Ribbon, PBR. It is a staple of Wisconsin beer. You've never had
PBR.
PBR?
No, I am not a beer drinker.
Oh my god.
I prefer cider, actually.
I actually I'm a
All
whiskey
right.
person.
PBR is known by
There you go, whiskey.
college kids, teenagers, adults, like pretty much anyone has had a PBR in their life. But anyways, a few other
At what cost?
Yeah. There's debates there as to the quality, but we're not going to go that far. The Hodag, so is notable too because President John F. Kennedy received a replica Hodag during his trip to Rhinelander in 1959. It was said he used the beast for inspiration for his inaugural address. Coincidence?
I don't know. How does that make sense?
I'm just saying. And did you guys know that the Hodag was the third string center for the Green Bay Packers in the Ice Bowl in 1967? Third stringer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that makes sense. It's 60s Packers.
Yeah.
The recruiting pool's getting a little strained.
Yeah, but no, that team was a powerhouse, so he didn't see any game time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But no, the Hodag, all jokes aside, and like this is all legitimate, by the way. This is their legitimate.
All jokes aside, this creature is legitimately a joke.
Yes, exactly. Like the town that hosts there, it all started as a joke. It started as a prank. They built a prank Hodag. So that's one of the things to validate the truth of it. They basically posed as a giant hunting party that captured this Hodag, and I sent the picture to you guys in the group chat. It basically looks like a French bulldog with long ears. They put spikes on its back. Like they turned some creature into making it look like it was almost a Hodag. And honestly, the people of Wisconsin just took to it. Everyone just thought it was.
This is quite literally like an angry mob.
Well, no. I love how they're all like going into like corner and pose it and save the one man who has clearly like lied down under his pet bulldog to like pretend to be like, look, we took the photo in the midst of the attack.
Like this guy, one of the dudes literally just took like a tree, like a sapling tree, ripped it out of the ground, and is using it as a blunt instrument.
No, so do you know what that is, actually? So there's a story behind that as well.
The tree?
It's not
a Hodag stick.
No, so that stick specifically, the man behind everything, like I said, Eugene Shepard, what he did was he took a team of bear wrestlers and went out to the forest to capture a Hodag. And what he did was he placed chloroform at the end of a long pole. They worked into the cave of the creature where it was overcome. They captured it alive.
This doesn't. You said bear wrestling. You lost me at bear wrestlers.
Yeah, apparently that's a legitimate job in 1893.
You know what? It's Wisconsin. I can believe it.
Oh.
It was probably like the trend they were trying to be known for before it became cheese and beer. They're like, you know what we can be known for? Bear wrestlers.
So do you know what ended up causing the whole shtick to come undone?
Mm-hmm.
Was after. Oh, go on.
I'm gonna take a wild guess. I want to go with FBI.
Not quite. It's even scarier.
Oh dear.
It's not the feds.
Oh, it's some feds. So what happened was he captured this Hodag and he displayed it in the Oneida County Fair, and thousands of people came to see the Hodag. And what he did was to prove that it was alive and to scare visitors, he attached wires to it and would move them to move the creature and cause people to jump and go running away. Well, this caught wind. Newspapers picked it up, first locally, then statewide, and then nationally. And it they remarked about this living creature, this specimen that they had. So a small group of scientists from the Smithsonian came to Rhinelander to examine the creature.
Damn it. Of course, it's the Smithsonian. I should have guessed.
Yeah.
Your jig is up. It's the scientist.
No! A pseudoscientist's worst enemy, real scientists.
This reminds me of that letter. What is it? The one guy from Key and Peele was reading to the from the Smithsonian, replying to people who sent them like spam items.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. We believe this to in fact be the head of a Barbie doll that has been chewed on by a dog, and not, as you put it, a new species of miniature humans. Please stop sending us things.
I'm sure they act. I feel like that's based off a true story.
Yeah, probably. People send weird stuff in. Like if we
No,
ever
like-
open
like
a PO
that's-
box, we get some weird things.
Yeah.
I guarantee.
No,
it.
like no,
I
like
want to
that,
open
that
a
is
PO box.
That was a legitimate letter that he was reading during that.
Oh,
It
I'm
was
sure,
legitimate
100%.
Smithsonian. Oh god.
Oh my god.
Oh, geez, I completely forgot the best part of the whole Hodag story. The first Hodag that he did kill. I didn't tell you guys how he killed it. The only
With a
way.
gun?
No, God, no. This is America.
Why would we use? This is America.
We use
dynamite.
high-powered explosives. He used dynamite to kill it.
Come on. This is late 19th century America, all right? It is perfectly legal and in fact expected that your tree removal service is a stick of dynamite and a fuse.
Actually, yeah, that does make sense now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Once we discovered nitroglycerin, it was all downhill.
Yeah, so they did away with the first Hodag with a few boom boom sticks, and the second one they captured using chloroform sticks. So I love the story of the Hodag. It's very Wisconsin, and like you guys have mentioned, the people really leaned into it. They really adopted it, and it truly became a thing. And now there's actually even a Hodag festival that they have. There's a giant statue, which I showed you guys the picture of me with the Hodag. And then it's actually the mascot of their local high school.
You know what? I like it.
It's better than the offensive like mascots some other teams have, you know?
Looking at you, Pinkin, Illinois.
Yeah, that's a bad one. All right, but that's it for my Hodag. So who do we think is going to get the next one?
I like that. I like that one's a lot more fun.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. That one was very personal.
That is actually that's legitimately how like cultural traditions probably start.
Well, I liked it because I did a bunch of archaeology up near Rhinelander, and it's kind of a nice place because we went there one day and I was covered in dirt taking pictures with the Hodag.
As you do, man.
Oh,
Hodag.
we have number 6, Mothman.
Oh, it's back.
Mothman!
I'm
There's no need to feel down. I said Mothman.
So fun facts for Mothman. So now Mothman, he's not as old as the Hodag, but he's not nearly as young as the Chupacabra. But he is all American. He is
Wait, he was all American football?
No,
he's a true American man.
He is a child of the Cold War from West Virginia.
Tell me this thing came out of the Cold War?
He was first discovered in November 15th, 1966, when two young couples were driving down the road from Point Pleasant and told the police that they saw a large white creature whose eyes glowed red near a former World War II munitions plant.
Oh, that's just Uncle Jim. What are you talking about?
Yep. It was a slender, muscular man, 7 feet tall, with white wings, and its eyes had a hypnotic effect. When the people fled in fear, it supposedly screamed and flew down the road chasing them.
He just wanted a friend.
Yep.
Come back here, please. Come back.
Look how I feel like it's actually just a German who was visiting the western part of the United States or like the eastern part of the United States, and it was just like, hold on, where are you going? I just need to make friends.
Yep.
He's just very fit. He's just like running after.
Yeah, he pursued them as far as the Point Pleasant city limits. Apparently, the boundaries of which prevented him from entering and pursuing them further.
He got distracted by the street lamps.
Who knows?
He's just like lamp.
Yep. Now, the local paper got a hold of this story and ran it under the name Mothman.
Mothman.
And since this is West Virginia, can you guess what they did next?
They tried to kill it.
Hunting party, definitely.
The entire town descended upon the woods with firearms and anything else they could arm themselves with in the hopes of being the one to kill the beasts.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that is the first. Yeah. That is very American.
Yeah. It is a true, yep. So, armed slightly better than most countries, the people of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, set out to hunt the Mothman. They did not find him. However, 2 volunteer firemen did sight him a few days later, at which point the sheriff of the town, having had enough of this, declared the Mothman to simply have been a large bird, maybe a heron, and told everyone to stop doing this, as people were just roaming the countryside with bear traps and guns and potentially injuring one another, and he just needs them to not kill each other.
Yeah, to be fair, as somebody who grew up with a family of hunters, one of the big things is not accidentally shooting another hunter.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Going hunting and just like stepping in a bear trap. That'd be a really rough way to end your day.
No, that's actually more common than you think.
Yes. The story escalates because it starts getting personal as the hunt for the hunt for the Mothman intensifies. We get contractor. There's a man who is a local contractor in the area named Newell Partridge, who allegedly saw the creature with his flashlight one night. This was immediately followed by strange buzzing sounds from his television, also known as basic static, since this is 1966, and the disappearance of his German Shepherd dog. It ran away. He was crazy.
I think I could have fixed this problem if I lived there in this time. Because you want to know how I would have solved all of their problems? You just go to the highest building, install a massive spotlight, and just turn it on. Because then it attracts the moths.
It's funny. It's funny you should say that, because that's something that's going to come up later.
No!
Yes!
Spotlights do feature in this, not to catch the Mothman, but a certain other winged creature, and spotlights do feature into this very prominently. Because there are 2 more steps in the escalation of the legend of the Mothman. Next up, we have biologist Robert Smith of West Virginia University. So you know that you are getting the top quality care here from West Virginia University. He came out and he said that Mothman is most likely a sandhill crane, which is a large American crane that is the size of a man with red circles in its feathers around its eyes. It has red feathers near its eyes. And the Mothman is described as having large red eyes, wings, and being about the size of a man. So that is most likely what this was. However, the Mothman is not one to allow himself to be disproven by science so easily. For you see, on December 15th, 1967, 13 months, exactly 13 months after he was first spotted, Mothman struck back.
No!
Dun,
The
dun,
Mothman
dun.
strikes back.
Or you see, the Silver Bridge, which was a suspension bridge built in the late 1920s over the Ohio River to connect Point Pleasant, West Virginia to Gallipolis, Ohio, collapsed and killed 48 people.
Mothman.
No explanation was given for the bridge's sudden structural collapse, and it was thus immediately blamed on the Mothman.
You know, I think I can explain it. I think Mothman was actually a part of the maintenance department for the Department of Transit, and he just was completely slacking off his maintenance reports.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a probably more plausible explanation of like, okay, sure, this is all fine.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the photo? Like the photo that's supposed to be taken right before it supposedly collapses?
No, I've not seen the photo of that bridge because I chose to focus on a slightly different part of the story.
Oh.
Because we can talk about the bridge some more, but I chose to because you notice I haven't brought up spotlights since I promised I would.
Yeah, so real quick, just in case, like I'm pretty sure the photo is doctored because like despite the fact of what we think of like Photoshop being like a modern concept, you could alter photos pretty easily.
Oh, big time, yeah.
It goes
back
then.
then.
It goes back to the Victorian period, which is well before even this.
Exactly. One of the more famous ones is Joseph Stalin having someone
people
removed.
Yes.
Yeah. So like people have been able to do this.
English fairy garden pictures, all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's a big
you
one.
have fallen out the favor with the Tsar.
But you see, there's the spotlights for you see. This is the mid 1960s, and perhaps the most popular television show at this time was actually ironically mentioned by you, Aaron, shortly prior to our recording here. It is none other than Adam West's Batman.
Yes!
The Cape Crusader and his Spotlight. Right there. They popularized a lot of weird niche characters, creatures, and bits of storytelling. And one of those, which came out shortly before the incident with the first sighting of the Mothman, was a comic that very closely paralleled the style of the TV show in terms of coloration, storytelling, the way Batman talked. Like the comic had begun to imitate the show that had imitated the comic.
Nice.
The debut of a new Batman villain, Killer Moth, a tall, slender man in a moth suit with wings.
Yes.
So it is none other than a Batman villain. West Virginia is Gotham, which explains a lot of West Virginia.
You're not wrong, honestly.
That
you know
is the
what? I love
theory
it.
that I have from this insanity. So it's thanks to Batman, the Cape Crusader, who responds to crime via a spotlight.
He just
that must face off Mothman, aka Killer Moth.
Damn it, Batman!
Yep.
You wouldn't say that to my face, Batman. I'd pound you if you were here. Start pounding, Joker. Oh God, I just Adam West, Batman.
Adam West Virginia.
Oh my God. I love it so much.
The best part about it all is looking into this. I discovered that Killer Moth is in fact just evil Batman. because he has no superpowers, relies entirely on utility belts and gadgets, and has a Mothmobile.
Oh my god. They
Yeah,
literally went, bats are black and dark and he's fighting for good. So what's evil? White, flying. It's a moth.
Yeah. And what
well,
would be
bats also
the
eat
Batman's
moths.
spotlight?
Please tell me he defeated Killer Moth with the spotlight by attracting him to.
I I do not know. I do not have the synopsis for the actual for like the full story of like this multi-comic arc of this character.
God damn.
It is heavily understood that the popularity of the TV show Batman and Killer Moth's recent appearance in the comics are the reason why Mothman 1 looks the way he does, and 2 has been named Mothman.
Mothman.
Yeah.
Don't forget. Also, you can't forget the amazing statue that exists.
Oh yes, the Mothman statues.
It
Yes.
it is an icon.
Oh, it is more than an icon. Did you know that the statue comes with a annual Mothman festival that started in 2002? So
Thank
21
God.
years as of this recording.
You know, I like the good cryptid fests.
Yeah. The statue which was created by sculptor Bob Roach was unveiled in 2003, and the Mothman Museum and Research Center opened in 2005.
The research
I
center.
swear, guys, it's just a crane. Please.
No. I mean, that statue
Please.
looks
Please.
way too specific to be fake. I mean, they made him tummy thick. It is an honor to just go up to the statue and smack its ass.
Hey. We do not assault.
No.
We don't
No.
assault
Do not-
statues, Aaron.
do not objectify what is clearly a World War II era escaped human mutation experiment in search for super soldier serum. Because remember, he was found at an abandoned World War II munitions plant.
Are you telling me this is just failed Captain America?
Oh
Possibly,
no!
because remember, he chased the original couple from from an abandoned World War II munitions plant to the outskirts of Point Pleasant, and then proceeded to destroy the bridge out of Point Pleasant like he's Bane at the end of a Batman trilogy.
You only adopted the dog. I was molded by it, raised by it.
Proceeds to light small bonfire.
Lamp.
But yeah, that is the Mothman, everybody.
That
So
was.
I love it.
What do you think, Justin? Will the dice say you have to go again and just make Aaron wait to talk about anything?
Please, God.
I gotta go like 2 in a row.
4.
4. All right, that's gonna actually bring us to the Thunderbird.
Thunderbird.
Yes.
Thunderbird.
So it's really kind of unfortunate that there isn't too much on the Thunderbird. So for those of you who aren't as familiar, it actually kind of stories originate from like some Algonquin Native American traditions, and if I remember correctly, there were in fact there were stories of like these birds were just so big that they could actually like capture bison, like full on bison. They would just pick it up and like they would always come in with the oncoming storms, and that's sort of like how they got their name. But also another idea is that they would, when they flapped their wings, it actually sounded like thunder, or it would create thunder. And the lightning was actually the flashing of the eyes, like bright yellow eyes. So you might see it depicted on totems or in like some imagery that we do have. Let's see. It also says that like in Algonquin mythology, it it controls so it controls the upper world. Uh, so there's a little bit of a dichotomy while the underworld is controlled by a serpent. So, um, but you will you will see it outside of like Native American folklore. You might have seen references to it outside of it, like with the Ford Thunderbird. So like there's some other things named after it you might see in like a few other forms of media. Zapdos is actually from Pokemon is based off of this.
Yeah.
Aaron,
So can
as
you just tell
someone
me?
who grew
Yeah.
up in the country, I'm surprised you didn't mention the all great mullet wielding Pontiac. Wait, was that the Firebird? Oh no, I might be completely
Yeah,
blasting it.
Firebird.
Pontiac.
Damn it!
That's the
Yeah,
Firebird.
Oh my bad.
That is the Firebird, not the Thunderbird. Um,
Ford made the Thunderbird,
Oh okay.
which
yeah, Ford made the Thunderbird, and I would just say, these both of them sound like less evil Nazguls, given the whole just gonna take a bison and fly away.
But also, one of the things you didn't talk about that I think is really, really fascinating is in a lot of mound building societies in North America, the Thunderbird is actually one of the most often depicted mounds, effigies.
oh yeah, that's right. When I went to Cahokia, they actually have a bird symbol, and one of the theories is that it comes from that.
Yeah, up in Wisconsin, there's a really big mound site called Aztalan, and one, it got its name because they thought it was related to the Aztecs, ironically. But then also, it's got like really big effigy mounds that depict that, and they're so cool. It's so fascinating.
So they're usually so interesting enough. A lot of sightings are usually found all over the Midwest and northern and like southern Canada as well. Uh, but if you do a little bit of digging, you'll actually find like supposed stories of like these thunderbirds kidnapping children, or at least attempting to.
I'm
And
sorry, did we just translate from Zapdos to Drifloon here?
yeah, no. So supposedly, there are stories of large birds attacking children and like trying to take off with them, and some people have equated that to thunderbirds. And not too far from where I actually grew up along some railroad tracks, supposedly back in like the 1970s, supposedly these people saw a thunderbird like up in the sky because like the wingspan was just huge. Uh, I would like to point out personally that birds, like birds of prey, are a lot bigger up close
Oh,
than
they're
people imagine.
massive. If you've never been up close to like a falcon or a hawk or an eagle, they're huge.
Yeah, so like one of the explanations for it is like, people don't actually know how big like the wingspan of an eagle or a hawk is. And so they're like, that's a massive bird. They're like, because people will estimate like these things when they see it, they're like, it has a 30-foot wingspan. No, it's just actually kind of flying low, and you think that's huge. Which, granted, if you've never seen, especially like a horned owl, like a great horned owl, huge wingspan. It's terrifying. If one was right in front of your face, you would shit yourself.
Yeah.
So a lot of it is kind of chalked up to people did not like modern like sightings are often
So it's tied into indigenous
The
mythology and
yeah, yeah. The limits of human depth perception when staring at an object against a wall of blue. Just
yeah.
I have no reference in the frame for how big I'm supposed to assume this creature is.
It is also not necessarily unheard of for large birds of prey to attempt to attack an unattended child.
Yeah,
they look like
they like
dinner.
yeah. It's like listen, any animal under 50 pounds is fair game for that thing.
For a lot, for you guys would be surprised like what birds of prey will go for.
Small dogs, bunnies, like
Oh yeah, my dog got in a fight with a hawk once. He won.
Yeah. No, yeah, just yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of like an episode of a TV show or something like the one person's got like a terrier that they're like really afraid of, and it's like, did the kid outside? And the kid comes and goes, guys, this is really gross, but I think he killed a hawk. And it's just this little tiny like pygmy terrier
Well, that's
Right.
funny.
killed a hawk.
But like I still think
I
it was,
fought
like
a hawk and the dog won.
I took like a liking to the Thunderbird cryptid, at least, because just the fact that there was supposed to be a sighting, and of course like Monster Quest, like I said earlier, was like a huge part of, I was obsessed with it for a while, and then the fact that there was supposed to be a sighting so close to where I actually lived, I was like, what? And so like every time I would go hiking, well, because I was in the scouts at the time, I'd constantly like be looking up the sky. I'm like, I'm gonna see one. I'm gonna see it. So that's a bit of a personal one for me.
Alrighty. Now, Aaron, it's you and me. 50-50.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah, we had 50-50 against him last time, and he beat it.
Do we keep the current numbers, or do we go highs, lows, or evens, odds?
Let's keep the current numbers.
All right.
Yeah, the dice hasn't betrayed us yet.
3!
Is it me again?
Yeah.
That's
All
you.
right.
Yeah, that's your other one. Like, wow,
That's
it's like the dice
unfortunate.
hasn't missed once. Where do the I
You
gotta
know,
get
oh, okay,
out
so
the
I
odds.
need to start rolling with this in our normal game because we haven't hit a 1 yet. That's 5 rolls without a 1.
Well, it's also 5 rolls with everything but like with a different number each time. No repeats.
I need to use these die.
All right. So my other one is the Loch Ness Monster,
Ooh.
also known as Nessie. Everybody. Oh, hold on, guys. Sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Loch Ness Monster has sent a copyright cease and desist claim to Aaron Gilpin here.
Okay, so while he's doing that, I guess I should just dive into Bigfoot then, you know? We'll just leapfrog.
Yeah, we got the 2 heavy hitters for last here.
Oh, all right. So while Aaron is indisposed with a lawsuit, we will talk about Bigfoot, my favorite, Sasquatch. Someone who I have been a huge fan of, and I have actually gotten to meet and take a picture with. You know, not to brag too much, but
he terrified that New York Elmo. I'm telling you.
oh my god. The best part is I was walking with Colum down the street and we saw Sasquatch and I yelled out down the street, "I'm your biggest fan."
The man ran about 3/4 of a block to catch this person. We just had to watch.
It was beautiful. So Bigfoot or Sasquatch is a cryptid that is a large ape-like humanoid creature that has been very difficult to identify and has captivated people and is arguably, I think, one of the most popular cryptids out there. I mean, anywhere you go, you'll see merchandise for it, but...
And unrelated image right here.
Uh-oh, you just disappeared too.
Yep. Because unrelated image, a large ape-like creature that is difficult to identify. It's just you.
Oh no, I'm alone in the woods. Shia LaBeouf. So where should we begin? I guess we'll start with the Bigfoot moniker. So obviously, like every other cryptid, there have been numerous sightings, but one is what gave it its name, its nickname. And this all dates back to 1958. To give you the setting, it was a logging company that was based out of California, and they discovered a large set of 16-inch human-like footprints sunken deep within the muds within 6 Rivers National Forest. And basically, they kept seeing these giant footprints showing up all over the place. And what kept happening is they believed that people were playing pranks on them, but then they kept happening. And they kept happening even though there was more and more news coverage.
Yeah. Sorry about that. I'll explain later about what's going on, some personal stuff, but
don't worry, we moved on. We're good.
Okay,
We know about the lawsuit.
Yeah. Sorry that Nessie hit you with the cease and desist. We hope the lawsuit isn't hurting you too bad.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, no, Scotland Yard called.
Oh, okay. But allegedly, with this specific name, because they started referring to it as Bigfoot because there were big feet prints in the mud, Bigfoot moniker happened. And then in 2002, one of the family members of Jerry Crew, the family of Crew's deceased coworker, Ray Wallace, state that their father had been making the footprints with large wooden feet and was responsible for the tracks, but there's not really anything to substantiate that claim either. It was just kind of like, hey, yeah, our relative was the one making the tracks, and it's a plausible explanation for the tracks. I mean, I give credence to that, but at the same time, like...
Where are the feet?
Yeah, show me the feet. I'll post them on Feet Finder.
We'll you might want to post them to WikiFeet. You'll get more views that way.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, the origins of Sasquatch, though, actually come from indigenous roots, which I find really fascinating. And there's a lot of stories of hair-covered creatures living in the forests, and these tales differentiated between regions and families and communities. Some of the more notable ones, though, are a set of petroglyphs in Painted Rock, California, which is in Central California on the Tule River Indian Res. It is a Bigfoot family that was depicted on the rocks.
Bigfoot family?
Bigfoot family, yes. Here, I will post the picture in our Discord chat so you can see. There is a Bigfoot family that is depicted by older indigenous folk.
Oh, I haven't seen this.
Yeah, and basically the tales started spreading because Spanish explorers saw them and called them the Dark Watchers, which were large creatures alleged to stalk their camps at night. Kind of like a little bit like a Slender Man.
Not so slender, though.
Yeah.
But, like, there's so many other tales very similar of that. Like, the Lumi tell tales of creatures known as... Well, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. I'm going to skip over it. It's Simicues. The stories are similar to each other, but the descriptions all remain the same of, like, the hairy, larger-than-life. And there's a couple of justifications and things that continue to push this story and the tales. Like, one of the big legends is, well, God, okay. One of the big legends, let me pull up here, has to do with a couple of physical anthropologists, some people from our own field, named Jeff Meldrum at Idaho State University and Grover Krantz at Washington State, that have basically supported their examination of the 1967 film footage of a purported Bigfoot sighting. So they basically said that it seems more realistic. And this footage is probably the one that people recognize the most as that really grainy color footage of allegedly
the
depicting...
sort of image where he's, got like the whole, like, Beatles walk or the hands out in front.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So they looked at that and they're like, oh, yeah, that seems legitimate. And people have tried to argue over and over again and have tried to find sightings. I mean, there were a huge spree of sightings in the 1960s. Here's some statistics that the Bigfoot Field Research Office organization has collected. In 2019 alone, Washington State had over 2,000 reported sightings. California, over 1,600. Pennsylvania, 1,300. New York and Oregon, over 1,000. Texas had just over 800. And pseudoscience communities took this and ran with it. I mean, they continued to try and push this this story, and that Bigfoot Information Center was formed by a former Yeti hunter.
Oh, God.
And he collected documentation of eyewitness testimonies, footprints, evidence. God.
I just love the idea of this man going, I've spent 20 years of my life tracking the Yeti. Such a fantastical and strange creature surely can't possibly exist. Now, this Bigfoot thing, on the other hand...
Oh my God. Do you guys remember it was like mid 2000 or early 2010s that show Hunting Bigfoot on like Discovery Channel? Like every single episode was like, guys, I think that's a Bigfoot. And they'd make some weird call because they would always say, yeah, guys, I'm going to do a mating call. And it was just
Like,
some weird
why do you?
whooping noise.
It's like, why do you know what a Bigfoot mating call? Oh God. Oh,
Because he's probably
oh,
trying it in bars thinking it'd work. And then he'd be like, I don't get why I'm 47 and single.
he's
I
not
just can't
47
seem to
single.
understand
Bigfoot
it.
clearly left him. That's how he knows the mating call. He's just looking for his ex. She ran away with his Bruce Springsteen tickets.
I just love like Bigfoot is probably like out of all the cryptids that probably come out of the United States, Bigfoot's probably the number one. Like, how many movies have been made about Bigfoot? Like, do you guys remember? It's an old 80s. I don't know if you guys would have seen it. Might have been like late 80s, early 90s, but it was called Harry and the Hendersons. I saw it on VHS from Family Video way back. It is so funny.
It's
There,
there's too much Sasquatch in the
well,
world.
and that's just it. Bigfoot is popular in culture and has devolved into a series of sports mascots, children's entertainment, cryptozoological reality shows, and it's also
Beef
been
jerky spokesman.
yeah, it's also been promoted in state legislation and celebrations. Politicians in both Oregon and Washington have proposed bills to protect the creatures from hunters, and the hairy humanoids have served as official state mascots. First as Harrison Bigfoot for Washington Centennial in 1989, and then Sesky, the Sasquatch, for Oregon's Sesquicentennial in 2009. But the ridiculous thing is, some people have allegedly synthesized Bigfoot DNA and have discovered it to be a quote unquote human ape hybrid species that dates back about 15,000 years ago, and that they should be recognized as an indigenous group and should be protected and given rights.
I'm sorry, are we taking DNA from the Sasquatch or the Sasquatch hunter?
Yeah, well,
I'm really demeaning towards these people. I have no
I
personal
think
history
somebody
with
should keep
them, but
that man
I'm
away
vicious.
from any primate.
yeah. So it's an interesting little setup there. And the thing is that I love about Sasquatch is it's very widespread. Clearly, you get stories and tales of him from all over. And I honestly, before we even looked into this, oh, I'm hiccuping. I didn't realize that it was so deeply entrenched in indigenous storytelling. And it just, it is truly something to behold. And for those speculating, people have argued that it's either a humanoid creature, escaped gorillas, or probably, I think one of the more plausible ones is a bear that has learned to sit on its hind legs.
Have you seen bears on their hind legs? I have.
Yeah,
It's
they look like
horrifying.
humans.
Like even from a distance. I've seen them. I went to this. If you go to the Columbus, I was at the Columbus, Ohio Zoo, and there was a bear that like came up to the glass. There was a child standing in front of the glass. Right, it was really funny, and the bear just like smacked it and scared the hell out of the child. Right, I thought it was funny, but that bear just sitting was almost as tall as me. Like I think it was probably about up to here. Now, if it stood on its hind legs, this is a brown bear, like grizzly bear. It is. These are big bastards.
They big old buddies.
Imagine if one just started walking on its hind legs coming towards you. I would like it's like if it's dark and there's like that standing there and it's like trying to like walk towards me or like a waddle kind of situation, I would be running as fast as I can.
But I think that's a good point for us to finish with Sassy, good old Bigfoot. Now,
How's
Aaron, I guess you could talk about Nessie unless you are going to get sued by them again.
Yeah, no.
We'll take your
I worked
connection
everything
and
out with Scotland Yard.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they're don't worry. So everybody knows Nessie. Everybody has heard about Nessie at some point or another. Um, However, this is probably one of my favorite stories. So probably the supposed earliest sighting is from about 565 from Saint Columba, who actually it's referenced not necessarily the lake, but the river Ness that feeds into Lake Loch Ness. And supposedly, he had a follower. Yeah, Columba sent somebody else into the water to lure this thing out. And he made the sign of the cross and said, "Go no further. Do not touch that man. Go back at once." Like he's exorcising a demon. And supposedly the beast was being pulled back as if by ropes back to the murky deeps, and he was made a saint by the Picts, who were a local tribe in the area. And then they all converted to Christianity. Because that's how they do it. You do a few miracles and suddenly everybody's like, oh, Jesus. So
Jesus.
but after that there's like a big gap, like up until like the late 1800s, and then a little bit in the early 1900s, until you get the famous photograph, the surgeon's photograph in 1934. All of us have probably seen it at some point. It's that blurry close-up of what looks like a plesiosaur head sticking out of the water, kind of like the waves. And it was supposedly taken by Robert Kenneth Wilson, a London gynecologist. Yeah, this man was just vacationing in there, and he was just like, oh, "What's this?" He saw something weird out in the water, and he's like, "I gotta grab my camera," and proceeded to take the most probably like typical close-up 1930s photograph, like you would think. Like, it's blurry, it's graded, it's black and white. Most people have just suggested that's just driftwood, because that makes sense, honestly. Like, it's a lake. Plenty of driftwood to be floating around. And other people have also suggested that it might be an elephant that escaped a zoo. And that's actually what we think is the head is actually the trunk, and it's just like swimming mostly underwater.
Oh my god, that would be terrifying. You see the elephant
Right?
swimming and then just emerge this massive beast.
Right? Absolutely horrifying.
Oh.
However, so most people have agreed that it's actually just a hoax. The man staged it. There are a few later photos of this being staged. Like, people have took like cardboard cutouts and put it out there in the water to float and took pictures. You'd see a lot of that. However, this next explanation, I think, is probably the more interesting one, and I personally think it's more plausible, just because of how unexpected it is. For those of you who don't necessarily know, who aren't from the UK or even Scotland, eels were for a long time a very common food source. And eels can get surprisingly big. And so there's this idea that actually that is like the picture, or even any other possible sighting, is actually an eel breaching the surface for whatever reason, like, say, to catch a bird that's like sitting, like taking an opportunity. And what makes this sound more plausible to me is the fact that we've recently only learned more details about eel reproduction, because eels were pretty mysterious to a lot of us. Like, there were plenty of theories that they actually reproduced asexually, because we just did not know anything really too much about them. But given the time and place, yeah, I think it could actually easily just be a really large eel. But That's not what anyone wants. Nobody wants that. We want a dinosaur, goddammit.
I'm just sitting here quietly, just watching you talk. Talk about how. So yeah, I was first found by the saints. That is my namesake, and my family's namesake.
Yeah, congratulations.
I am. Yep. I'm literally named for this man.
Yeah, congratulations. Your namesake
that shares a name with this man.
Yeah, congratulations. Your namesake
my namesake
exorcised the Loch Ness monster.
He fought Nessie with the power of God on his side.
Yeah,
the power of God and anime.
But I think one of my favorite, like, nobody, it's not that fun. It's not that fun. I believe there's actually some legal protections for Nessie, like, just like kind of like how we have, like, in the US, we have some for Bigfoot. However, people like to believe that it is actually a plesiosaur, which is not actually a dinosaur. Dinosaur is quite literally only applied to anything that walks on land and is actually related to birds. Not pterosaurs either, believe it or not. If it flew or it swam the ocean, not a dinosaur. Plesiosaurs, however, lived in the ocean. Loch Ness is a freshwater site. Yeah. And of course, everybody wants to know, like, well, clearly there has to be more than one Nessie. Well, you need a breeding population.
Submarine testing.
Right? Yeah. So there was one case where somebody noticed that while they were doing sonar testing, trying to hunt for it, that there was a oddly strange mass following them. It was kind of chalked up to being plankton. That word's actually, because Loch Ness is not actually pretty
plankton.
Big. Yeah. So funny enough, Lake Loch Ness is actually pretty large. However, not large enough to support a breeding population of plesiosaurs, unless they got significantly smaller. Because plesiosaurs could easily be up to 20 feet long.
Yeah.
At minimum.
Yeah. Oh, and Justin, to make your extension of the quip historically accurate, he had the power of God and illuminated manuscripts at his side.
Oh no!
Because that's the term for the art in those medieval books with all the fancy gold leaf plating and all that stuff. It's illuminated manuscript.
Power of anime. Oh,
yeah.
no.
So here's a few things. There's actually been quite a few expeditions to find Nessie. So you've got a few that start in the early 1900s. There was actually a bureau dedicated to hunting. It was called Loch Ness Phenomenon Investigation Bureau, which ran for about 10 years. There were sonar studies. Another big important one was Robert Rhines studies. This group was led by Robert H. Rhines from the Academy of Applied Sciences, and they did 4 different studies: 1972, 1975, 2001, and 2008. And this one is where they actually first started doing the sonar ones. They did a few different spots. It doesn't quite say where. Yeah, it didn't quite say where they were, but they were like, "Yep, they got, like, this is where, like, the plankton one comes in." So they thought that they caught Nessie finally on sonar, but others suggest that it's either plankton or it's peat moss that's just gathered together, which also kind of makes sense. Moss gets pretty terrifying and can be pretty heavy when it's like in a big amalgamation in water. Anyone who's ever actually played around with moss and water when they go fishing, yeah. There was actually in 2018 there was a DNA survey done by from the universities Otago, Copenhagen, Hull, and the Highlands and Islands. They were doing DNA testing looking for unusual species, and the results published that there are no DNA of large fish like shark, sturgeon, or catfish, to be found. No otter, no seal, but there was a lot of eel DNA, and that's why I think the Loch Ness Monster is actually just a very large eel. But nothing reptilian.
Interesting.
Also, sorry, real quick. The funniest one to me out of all of these is not the elephant for like misidentification. It's a Greenland shark. You know, the mysterious shark species that supposedly can live 400 years, and we've only ever had like a few video evidence of it. Yeah, that's just in Loch Ness, apparently. Yeah, so there we go. Loch Ness Monster. Probably not real. Not a plesiosaur. Not a giant, long-necked amphibian, because apparently someone once spotted Nessie walking on land. Yeah, this is...
People are just all over the place.
I love Nessie so much. Honestly, like, at this point, I don't care. I don't care if it's not real. I just like the story at this point.
And I think that's a good point for us to,
like... real. It's just been banished.
Yeah. It got banished to hell.
I think that's a good point for us to, like, circle back, though. I mean, that's kind of the whole purpose of us doing this episode was, while it's not necessarily real, and, you know, some people would like to debate that fact.
Yeah. It is very much tied to history.
There's a lot of historical ties. There's a lot of ties to all sorts of things. And honestly, it's just kind of a fun little topic. I mean, we decided to do something a little less serious this time, and we tried a different format. Let us know how you guys enjoy this format, because we've been tossing around a couple of other ideas that we could popcorn between each other. But I won't go too much into that spoilers.
No, just let us know. We did a new thing. Let us know if you like the new thing. That's basically the gist of it.
Alrighty, but thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, please leave a like down below, and please check out our new web store, the Humanitarian Collections. You'll find it in the show notes and in the link down below. Please check it out. We are currently supporting the Trevor Project, which helps support LGBT plus youths. And yeah, thank you guys for checking us out. We'll see you in the next podcast.